Very cool. Hi, everyone. Carmen Dinisco here at the Launch Network. We have an awesome show. We just talking on just before we started recording. It's going to be a funny show. I have my co-host, Mr. Christopher Guerrera. And Chris, what's happening, my friend? I see you changed your background. What the heck is that?
Hey, Carmine, you know it, baby. Like the word's out now. We're going to air on the grand finale of Shark Tank, May 21st.
Wow. It's awesome. It's awesome.
So it's pretty exciting times. A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, dude, you're all over the place. I see on TV, on the news. You're shooting commercials for local companies. I mean, how are you finding time to even get on Shark Tank?
Yeah, good question. That was, the good news. It was filmed last year, so the airing is giving me some time to prepare. But yeah, we just Boston just did a big story on us. It was really a cool story. They did a nice job with talking about Judy Abrams, who invented the Super Potty Trainer, and then partner up with me and really launching it, all made in the USA. And it's your unique product that solves a real problem, and it's very different than your standard potty training device. You know the way you teach it using the Super Potty Trainer. It's a one-piece device. That's it. You
Awesome.
train the same way you're going to go all the time.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool. Pretty fun stuff.
That's really cool, man. Well, speaking of Super Potty, who's our guest today?
Yeah, so this is a good one. So Tom Gray of Make 48. And I'll let Tom do the honors of explaining Make 48, but I'll just before he jumps on, I'll tell you how we met. You know, we talk about Made in America. Well, guess what? We met at a Made in America conference in Bentonville at a Walmart event. I was actually talking to a woman for Women's Day and entrepreneurships, and Tom overheard me talking, and he was looking for some people to be on with Make 48 and some guests. And I not only had the story, I remember this clearly, I had the pictures to back up my story. So there's no bullshit in here, if we could say that. It's fact. I got a story and the pictures to show it. So with that, we'll bring Tom Gray on.
Wow, Chris. Thanks, mate. Good to see you guys. Chris, before we jump in, I know that Shark Tank, that's a big deal. Congratulations. And that product, yeah, I love that product that Judy came up with. So
yeah, thank you.
I'm sure that after Shark Tank comes out, we can ask you a lot of private stuff, but I know you're probably under some NDAs until it comes out, huh?
Yeah, I'm under quite a few from all of the networks, but yeah, I'm happy to really get into it and talk about it. I will tell you though, it was pretty interesting that it was in COVID, it was in a pandemic, so we had a lot of restrictions. I'll just give you one teaser. I had to be locked in a room for 10 days. So if you've ever tried that, I don't recommend it.
Were you allowed to get room service?
Buddy, it's good to hear. So yeah, we met obviously at the Walmart Made in America conference, and yeah, back before Make 48, I was doing products, manufacturing products, American made here in Kansas City. And yeah, Walmart has that open casting call every year to see new innovation and whatnot, and that's where we got to meet. So that was a fun
night. And they've
night.
upped that now, Tom. They've upped it to 350 billion, up from 250 billion. That's how much momentum they're getting from it.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good that those companies recognize the American made, and especially now with COVID, you know, logistical nightmares are happening all day long, and the further your product's manufactured away from home base, the harder it's got. You know.
Absolutely.
Not only parts and all that, but you think of shipping containers and all the carry-on effect it's had, you know, chain reaction, it's not a good deal.
Yeah, you know, we talk about that in some previous shows where you think about it for a second. If you're going to launch a product and you're making it in, let's just say China, right? You're going to pay for it prior to it leaving, and it's been 90 to 120 days. Some folks are telling me it's even longer now. So think about that. Your cash is tied up. Then you got to bring it and truck it to a warehouse, so more cost. So somebody's got to fulfill it. You're adding more cost, and then you got to ship it to retail. Retail is going to hold your invoice for 90 to 120 days. So you're easily out 6 to 8 months on that cash commitment.
Well, what about the issues we always had was that you must commit so much product in your own factory for the retailer in case it sells well. You have to restock within 10 days. There's a lot of the requirements now. So
Absolutely.
How do you do that, especially with how do you do that with brand new innovation? You know, everyone's guessing, is your new invention going to take off, or is it going to stall on the shelf, and then you got this warehouse full of product that came from overseas. The cash flow to do all that is a big deal, you know.
It is,
and that's what a lot of people get.
And it's kind of ironic with the Super Potty Trainer. We launched that. We got an opportunity, a 2-week window. So I didn't even have the resin in at the time. We had the tool. I had to do a label, had to do the graphics, had to do the pads, had to get a box made, all that in 2 weeks. And I know when I brought that up to everybody, they looked at me like I was literally crazy. Now I've been known to be crazy, okay? But in this case, I told them, if you don't do it, then you have to wait another year. But in this case, by us doing it, it gained enough revenue before the pandemic hit that I could actually pitch it for Shark Tank. So it was all the difference in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. Timing's everything, huh?
It is, absolutely. So let's talk about Make 48. So I've done some events with you. First one was in Kansas City. Man, I think we did the world. That was the world event of barbecue. And I'm telling you, what an amazing time. Still to this day, it was one of the funnest times I've ever had.
Yeah. It was actually, I think, Chris, it was the second event we did. We did them back to back at Union Station. But yeah, the category, you know, if we dive back to Make 48, teams have to come together. We give them a challenge. They must solve the problem by building a physical prototype. Obviously, they have the luxury of a maker space. So at Union Station, we had Science City, which is a pretty, you know, high-tech little maker space. It's got everything we need. And tool technicians to help you build anything you can think of. So everyone's on a level playing field. You don't have to be an inventor or an expert, but you've got to come up with the innovation and the idea as a team. But yeah, we actually did that event. I think it was October. We did it in conjunction with, at the same time, the American Royal Barbecue, which is one of the biggest barbecue competitions in the nation. And then, as you know, we took the teams out there to get inspiration on the Friday night to walk around the barbecue competition. They got to meet some pretty good, you know, barbecue competitors, and they had to ask questions about the pain points that they were facing. Got them back to Union Station, and then they had the rest of the time to build those prototypes. But it was a fun event.
You know, that spoiled me. Absolutely spoiled me. I think I flew Brandy in for the second half of that event, but man, I'm telling you, it was absolutely amazing. And for me, it was really the first time being in an event of 48 hours. The commitment that you have to make to achieve a final product to present to the judges in 48 hours. And I think the young team that won that year were some young women. They had basically made a mistake and lost 24 hours. So they actually did the entire assignment in 24 hours and won the competition.
Yeah.
Wow.
They actually failed. Yeah, they got to 24 hours. They tested their prototype. It failed miserably, and they had to restart.
Yeah.
Those girls are very, very intelligent girls. They all work, actually, they all are on a FIRST robotics team. So they sort of knew that they knew what they were doing, you know?
Yeah. And I think you also had some other things going on. You had guest speakers. I was on a Shark Tank panel back then, but you had other people that while they were doing the makers work, you were presenting and giving other folks who attended some really good, really educational classes on different segments, on patents and you know, how to develop product and how to launch it, how to get it made, where to source it. It was well, I tell you, for me, I don't think I went to sleep the first night. It was that much fun. I really enjoyed it. And it's been like a milestone for me in my career. I look at that point where you and I met at Walmart. It was a big deal for me back then. And then to be part of this, it was really pretty cool.
Yeah. I think you met Sean Murphy, right? You met Sean Murphy at that event?
Yes. Yeah.
Great guy.
Actually, Sean's become a really good friend of mine. It's kind of ironic how we first met at that event. And we had Sean on the show as well. And Sean's become really a good personal friend of mine.
Yeah. So Sean's one of our MCs moving forward. He does a great job. Season 4, he was just the MC there and the host. But he's going to be a big part of our city series. So he's a great guy and good Kansas City fella, you know. So
let's talk about how this is progressed. So we started out in Kansas City. Then I was part of actually was the MC for the Shark Tank group in Washington, D.C. at the Lemiston Group, which was another fantastic, incredible event, especially in the location. And now you've taken it even to other areas of art centers in Kansas City. Now you've taken it offline with the pandemic. So let's talk a little bit about those transitions and how Make 48 is involved.
Yeah, so the last 4 years have been a major documentary on PBS. I think we reach over 95% of American homes. That's been our flagship. That's been one event per year equals 10 episodes for a season. Then when COVID hit, we actually executed season 4 5 days before COVID shut down in Kansas City. So we're real lucky to get that one pulled off in time. When COVID hit, we started doing a YouTube version with the YouTube stars. So we went to 3 different locations. We went to Greenville, we went to Texas, and we went back to Kansas City. And we filmed challenges. We gave the YouTube stars 48 hours to build a project. So it wasn't exactly an invention. It was more of a project. It was then donated to a charity that deserved it. So very unique way to pivot without having big, large groups, but still get the brand out there. And now many of those YouTubers and influencers are going to be at our new city series coming up soon. So again, with COVID, we obviously wanted to step back, see where our brand wanted to go. We had 42 cities apply to do a Make 48 in our first application process. We got it down to 10 cities that we knew could host. They must have a really good makerspace, a community makerspace, and they must have great leadership at that makerspace to help us execute. Very much a team effort. And then, we pulled the trigger on 5. So we start this June in Wichita, Kansas. Then we're in Madison, Wisconsin, Indianapolis, Hartford, Connecticut, and Albany, New York. So that's all happening.
Hartford, Connecticut. You're in my hometown now, Waterbury and Hartford, my stopping grounds. Matter of fact, they're doing an interview with me right before Shark Tank airs, the New Haven group and Hartford group. But I remember the last season 4 right before the pandemic. So this is what was it, March 5th, I think, right? 6, 7, 8.
March
somewhere in that ballpark.
5th, 6th, and 7th. Yep.
Yeah. I was on the focus group, and I find that pretty fascinating. We've had a couple different focus groups. We had quite a large one, and then recently just the smaller ones where there's 3 of us. The teams present to us, and we give them feedback 24 hours into it. And I tell you, it's pretty fascinating to find what these teams have developed in 24 hours. And then when you start asking some questions, like, what do you think it's going to sell for? What do you think it's going to cost? What do you think the package is going to look like? And you can see their eyes light up a little bit, like, I really didn't think about that. I said, well, that's part of what the judges are going to look at. How can they market this? How can they sell it when it's a finished product? So I find that to be a really good focal point for the teams.
What do you think, Chris? Obviously, with all your experience, and you throw those teams into that environment who have never done it in their life, there's got to be a lot of, as we know, there's a lot of nerves, there's a lot of pressure, but it's just a whirlwind of learning the process and the right steps to take, isn't it? From your experience, it's just
absolutely.
But at the end of it, it's
amazing.
What I find is when I watch these guys do ask questions.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And I think the cool thing about it is, like you said, you don't have to really be someone who's done this all the time. They have great ideas, and you can see the light bulb clicks, and then it gets going. And like, look, the last group that won it, pretty simple idea, but I found that like most of the products that they showed and displayed were brilliant. I mean, think what they came up with. Some of these were amazing products. It's always easier to market the simple ones, and it's always a lot easier to sell those. But some of the ones that I saw at the last event, like in 48 hours, you just shake your head and go, wow, pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah. Carmine, you haven't had a chance to be at one of these events.
So I always find that part.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I always find that in that short period of time, it's just to see what young minds, and some of these folks bring their kids, right? Talk about that a little bit. They bring their kids. Think about that as a young entrepreneur or a parent, bringing your kid. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, our youngest contestant has been 8 years old, and there is always a bunch of families that apply. And what happens in real life is a lot of young innovation happens in the household, right? It happens with mom and dad. It happens around the kitchen or in the garage, when you're pottering around. That's where most people learn. It's not often at school. School is great for teaching you the science and all the stuff that's very formatted. But when you're trying to invent, you're usually inventing a problem that you've come across in your life, and that usually happens in the home. right? It's a pain point. So there's always a lot of teams that apply because the parents and the kids are always passionate about this kind of stuff, and they already work well together. But yeah, 8 has been our youngest, and 70 has been our oldest contestant. So wow. It's anyone and everyone is most welcome to be a part of it.
So cool. Hey, Tom, real quick. And I understand exactly what you're saying. I work with a lot of young adults and youngsters around the world on some of their ideas, and almost all of them come through because they see their parents struggling with something around the house, you know, and it's so true. What I love about the show is I love the transition the inventors and the teams make. A lot of times you see at the beginning, they seem all real nervous, but as the show progresses, they all seem to open up. A lot of them are working together, and then they're generally having fun.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like that thing. It's when you first meet a whole group of people no one knows. It's like the first day at school. It's always nerve-wracking. No one wants to, you know, everyone's just listening and learning. And like you say, you spend 24 hours straight with people. You know, you become friends pretty quick, but there's a lot of pressure coming off them once they know that they've got a product in mind and it's in motion. I think the hardest part is the nerve-wracking part, even for the tool techs and for us as the event producers. What happens if a team doesn't come up with a product, you know? And that can easily happen. So when we craft the challenges and moving forward, we craft them with some big name brands. You've got to do something that the teams can understand. It cannot be too technical, and it must be able to be made in that 48-hour period. So a lot of things cannot. As we know, a lot of innovation takes a long time to build. What we're looking for is a sort of a works like, feels like prototype. It doesn't have to work. You know, it's not going to be the final product. But with the technologies we have at these maker spaces and with the 3D printing, you know, technology is changing rapidly year to year. These things do look like a real product at the end of the day. So yeah, we've got the luxury of both.
You know, and I know Chris has a lot of questions. I just love this stuff because I don't think people understand what it takes behind the scenes to put something like this together and then have it come up on TV where people see just that finished product. I mean, can you just give a quick background, you know, maybe some funny things that might have happened during the taping and also kind of what it takes to produce this?
Yeah, so it's basically unscripted. You know, most television you watch is very planned out. You know, even Shark Tank, Chris, except the pitch. But they know they want it to look a special way. Make 48's the opposite. We're a documentary. What that means is that we have about 30 people. We have, I think, 5 or 6 camera crews, and there's 30 people involved in those crews total, basically filming B-roll and trying to capture whatever they can. But there's nothing scripted, so we're just capturing the process. So there's a lot of editing to put that together at the end to make a television series. But the event itself, you know, there's stuff that happens throughout the competition that wasn't planned. Thank goodness we've never had a major problem with an injury, you know, because you got sharp equipment, you got people that are getting tired. We don't allow the teams to do the building of and use the machines. There has to be a trained tool technician for that reason. But yeah, it's a 6-month plan to put on an event. Obviously numerous hours and a lot of people helping during the event, but we rely heavily on volunteers. We've got a bunch of tool techs that are committed to stay there the whole 48 hours and rotate around. But yeah, it's not an easy task because it's unscripted. Yeah. You know, and you're also in a live event. You're not you're not on a set. You know, most television is filmed in a controlled environment with lighting and sound and all that's perfect, whatever it may be. This is in a public place. We show up and we film it as is, you know.
Wow, it's amazing.
You know, and it's funny. I find it when you talk about it, right? And you attend it, you can see all the moving parts. I mean, there's so many things going on at one time, and I always find, like, when I tell the teams, you have to decide on your own team who's going to do what. You're limited on time, and you have to have somebody's good at doing CAD and somebody's good at doing research. You have to really divide up the responsibilities so you're working in parallel and you can move faster and come up and create, you know, your product to show a judge before the 48 hours is up. So if you have to make some adjustments, but you've got you've got patent attorneys there, right? You got tool techs, you've got you got people who have launched products before. So you got a group of not just camera guys, right, filming and knowing what to do and what moment to capture, but you've got some pretty good experts. And you've got one fellow, talk about him a little bit, Jimmy DeResta. I mean, he joined us the last time.
Jimmy actually has been involved in season 3 and 4. He's a co-host. So they class him as the Godfather. He's the kind of inventor who can think of something in his head, and I'm talking anything, draw it out on a piece of paper, and he's like an artist. He can go and visualize what he wants, and he can build it. The difference with Jimmy is that he has the skills to do a lot of different fabrication. Most people don't. Most people are very, very good at doing one thing or another. So when you create innovation, you've got to collaborate with 5, 6 different people to make an invention. Jimmy can build the whole thing himself. So yeah, he was involved there. Actually, I'm going to have him heavily involved in the future, but he's going to be a builder. He's going to be making. That's his passion. But we just did a YouTube series with Jimmy, and he's extremely talented. But I think moving forward, we've got a lot of different YouTubers and a lot of different influencers going to be at these events. They all have skill sets or a different skill set each, and they will help the teams and make it more fun as well,
Notice the last group, the last ones you did were very different than the previous ones because of COVID. So talk about now how you transition into that, right? Now you got this whole city series, which sounds pretty cool. I know you were talking about colleges and some other events, but talk about the city one, how you transition from what we were doing in a location now to have them all compete with each other. And now the finals get to do it again as like a showcase.
Yeah, so as we go around the cities, they're not filmed directly for PBS, but we use them as like a regionals. So we're allowing a lot more people to get involved at a local level. The city residents are going to be what makes the teams. So it's all about that city sponsors, city everything. The winning teams from each city then go on to be on the season for PBS. So it creates a lot bigger national competition. We have the 5 cities we're going to execute for the rest of this year. We have 10 cities for next year planned. And we talked about the college version. So the college version and COVID, obviously COVID's wreaked a lot of havoc with colleges for a lot of reasons. We'll be getting our college version of Make 48 September 2022. So it just got delayed a little bit back further. It allowed the city series to advance in front of the college series. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of chance to be involved. We do a lot of announcements on social media whenever we plan a new city and execute it and pull the trigger. But just keep up there with updates. But there's a lot of room for a lot of people to get to be a part of it.
Yeah, I see this as up in the game, right? So you're going now.
Oh yeah.
You're going in a city where you're picking the best of the best. This is going to be really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, come on.
Oh no, so I was gonna say, it seems like, and from my experience, people are probably, they may step back a little bit and go, how is it gonna work? But in general, people are so interested in inventions and innovation and how this equipment works and how you're gonna do it. I don't want to say easy in any way, but it's probably not too hard to get people to jump in.
Yeah, we actually just did a big casting call in Wichita, Kansas last Saturday. So we had over 20 teams apply, and we had to get down to 8 teams.
Wow.
So what we do, we're pretty passionate about diversity and making sure that STEM and innovation happens throughout the whole nation. So we have our guidelines for 2021 at the competition in general at 50% female ratio, 30% race diversity, and 30% from underserved areas. So when we go into a city, we must make sure everyone and anyone gets the opportunity to be a part of it. And when we do our casting call, which is live, which Chris, you know about casting calls, that's where we get to ask the teams of why they want to do it, what they're passionate about. We don't want all engineers competing. We want people with no experience. We want top design firms. We want corporate companies. We want high school teams. And we make sure we pick a good diverse group that can fit our criteria and to make it, a good competition happen.
Good idea. Yeah, you put a whole bunch of engineers in a room, you might get something, but you'll never be done.
Talk about
hey, watch yourself, Carmine.
Actually, Chris, you brought up a good point there. When the teams have to delegate what they're going to do, the most important thing, you could have the most amazing invention sitting on a desk, but if you can't sell it and sell it quickly, and in the form of selling it, it's either through the pitch, the live pitch to the judges, but just as important is creating that 1-minute video explaining what it is. I think that is the game changer of any innovation, whether it's real life and you got to actually meet with an investor or meet with a buyer from a retailer, or at Make 48. If you can't sell what you just built, it doesn't matter what it is. I think the pitches at the end, and you watch those videos, you have to have some marketing people on your team or have some good thoughts. Luckily, you have experts to lean back on, but if you don't have a team that's diverse in skill sets and a marketer and an engineer or whatever, you've got to have those changes, because selling a product is more important than making it, just pretty much.
Great point.
It's funny. Yeah, it is. And I remember one of the shows the event you had in Kansas City. What do you give them? 4 minutes, I think it is, right, to pitch it?
We actually get 8 minutes total, but yeah, we tell them you want to sort of finish your pitch within 5 because it's going to be Q&A, and if you miss out on Q&A, it doesn't help.
Yeah, and I remember one of the fellows, he had a nice product, a pretty cool, innovative design, and he yapped the whole session. Literally, you're like telling him you got a minute left, 30 seconds left, and he's going on. He never got to what it solved, the problem it solved. But you knew everything they did, and as opposed to the last ones you did, you had nice 1-minute pitches that clearly showed the product, showed the solution to the problem, and they hit it out of the park. It's so true. Yeah. You got to be able to sell it and sell it quick.
Yeah. But the life skills and the knowledge and experience these gain, they'll take it through the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I think what we tell the teams, even when they pitch, is to play your video first, because you want the judges to see that video at the beginning of the pitch, because then all of a sudden they got ideas flying real freely. What you don't want is to talk for 4 minutes and you're still quite confused about what it is because you haven't seen it really work, or you're not quite sure of the flow of the product. Play the video first, and straight away by the end of the 4 minutes or 5 minutes, the questions are just ready to go, whatever's remaining. But you got to play the video early, and same with everyday life. If you don't want to bore you don't want to bore a retail buyer with your history of how you came up with a product. Just show them the product, do it quick, and get the conversation started.
Yeah, because if you lose interest, you're done. I mean, they tune out. It's a fact.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And what I've learned is that if somebody says they want it, you stop talking.
It's like BMW days when someone was buying a BMW. They said as soon as they said they want to buy it, stop talking. Get the PO, sign it, stop talking. It's a true story. So Tom, where can everybody find out about Make 48? Where do they go? And where can they watch some of the past episodes?
Yeah, so get onto our website. Obviously, all the information's on there, make48.com. We actually have a really good Instagram thing happening. So go Make 48 on Instagram. That's the one we use the most. But the episodes are on our website. You can get them on Amazon Prime if you can't see them on pbs.org. And then, you'll be looking for highlights throughout these city series. We'll be playing them pretty good on social and real time and that kind of stuff. So they're the two places I would recommend people.
And when does the city series start up?
It starts at the end of June, Wichita, Kansas, at Go Create, supported by Coke Industries. But that's a high-tech makerspace, community makerspace. It's got everything you need. You're going to love it there.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, and I know for me to watch it, right, when I watch the end result after being part of it, it's pretty cool. It's like anything else. You have this vision of what you think it's going to look like, and when you watch it and you see it edited, it's pretty cool. This is definitely something pretty cool, Tom, that you guys are doing. I think it's such a great opportunity for kids and families and people who aren't engineers, like you said, right, that are makers that want to invent. It's such a great educational event that you do, and I've been pretty happy and pretty proud to be part of it. So I want to thank you for that personally.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. Well, it's just the beginning. I know, Carmine, like I said, we're going to get you there, and we'll do some live crossovers, huh?
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'd be honored to do it. Like you said, It is a great. I love watching. I'm yelling at the TV. I'm laughing because it just seems like you said, it's nerve wracking, but it's a fun event. And when you put it together that it's live, it's just amazing. The work you guys put in, and I can only imagine how much film ends up on the floor, how much you have to cut out.
Yeah, it takes months and months, but appreciate you guys and everything you guys doing for the community as well. No doubt.
Right,
thank you, Tom.
thanks.
Thank you very much. So all you listeners out there, please go on out to YouTube, the Launch Network, if you want to watch this podcast live where we're videotaping. You can also get and consume these podcasts on Google, YouTube, GoDaddy, anywhere that you consume your content or podcasting content. And, for myself, for Tom Gray, for Christopher Guerrero, we appreciate you listening, and make sure that you watch Shark Tank May 21st, Super Potty Trainer with your host, Miss Christopher Guerrero. Unbelievable. It's going to be a great show. You all take care.